Yep, I'll tell you the story that you requested about a worm that cuts itself in four parts. This is the story about a worm named God. And he named his name was God because he named himself that because he lived in a pot of soil all by himself. So his whole universe consisted of him, and that's it. Therefore, he decided he was everything there was to be, and he named himself God. And at first, he was happy. He was just squirming himself around the pot, going everywhere, and very soon that became very, very boring. There was not much to do. The pot wasn't too big, but within a few days he had gone mostly all over it. And so he tried to explore more and more just to see what other things he could do for fun. Turns out there wasn't any. It was extremely boring. And yes, he knew himself and he knew everything around him, but that didn't make it fun. One day, though, he had a great idea. What if I divide myself in two? And that way I'll have a friend. And so, with a lot of effort and with a lot of also work that was a little bit painful at times, he managed to cut himself in two. At first, it was kind of shocking. Both halves were really in a lot of pain and decided to just squirm away because the pain and the trauma of being cut in half had been so strong that he'd forgotten that he was God. He'd forgotten that he had created those two versions of himself because it was very scary and painful. And so to be divided in two. And so after a while, both halves slowly healed. And then they decided to start exploring. And at some point, one of the two halves found the holes of the other half and started following it. And when they found each other, they didn't recognize each other at first because they both thought, I must be God. But then there's another God, which means I am not everything there is. And so they decided to change their names. The one was named 1 and the other one was named 2. And that was it. Worms are not too complex. And so they went about their lives. They thought this must be great. We have a friend. But soon they decided, well, if one friend is good, wouldn't 2 friends be awesome? In fact, 3 friends, because if each one of these 2 were to cut themselves in half, then each one of the 4 worms would have 3 more friends. So instead of having 1, they would happen to have 3 now, which would be awesome. I mean, you're tripling your friends right there. And so they decided to do it. Each worm number 1 and number 2 reseated themselves to the corners of the pot, and after a lot of hard work and a lot of pain, the same thing happened. They cut themselves in half, but the scare of being divided into 2 and the pain of it was too big, and they forgot that they had once been God and that they were now 2. They became now 4. After a while, the same thing happened. They all met each other. They had forgotten about their origins and their power of creation, but they were happy to have friends. And so, 4 worms, 1, 2, 3, and 4, rule the world of the pot, being amazing friends for the rest of their lives, never remembering that they were once one. The end. Good night, pequeñín.